Good morning, my dear students. Let us recapitulate a little bit of pharmacokinetics and a part of pharmacodynamics. So, this is a curve where you will see the drug which is prescribed via uh, oral or subcutaneous or intramuscular route. Uh, I will come to that part later. Which is probably the route by which this drug is prescribed. But at this topmost point, where the maximum height achieved by this drug is called Cmax or concentration maximum. The time at which it reaches maximum height is known as Tmax or time maximum. So this is basically a time and drug concentration or plasma concentration of drug showing after administration. Concentration of the drug was 0 at the beginning, and then it gradually increases to a maximum level and then gradually falls to the level of baseline. So here at this part, the initial part, it was absorbed, a little bit being distributed, and from this part onwards it is eliminated from your body. And if you want to determine T half, you have to take the steepermost part of this line from this oral this curve, and from here you can determine the T half of this curve. How will we measure the T half? Will be better administered when we'll show you a curve of intravenous route of drug administration. So from this curve, we can say that the route of administration is extravascular, like oral, intramuscular or subcutaneous. But one thing you try to notice that this Tmax or time maximum, that means the time at which it reaches the maximum concentration is around 3 hours. It is coming in between 2 and 4. So 3 hours is, if you think about it, most probably it is via oral route the drug is being prescribed. You can determine bioavailability. So you have to draw some perpendicular lines and some horizontal lines and determine the surface area. And beside this, you can, if the drug is available in the intravenous form, you can determine the AUC of this intravenous form. So the area under the curve of the oral form divided by the area under the curve of the intravenous form multiplied by 100 will give you the bioavailability of this. Now AUC stands for area under the curve. So what I said, the perpendicular line and the horizontal line will cut each other, and that is the area under the curve, and that can be determined from this curve. T half, as I said, the steepermost curve, that means the time at which the concentration, the plasma concentration of the drug declines by its half, can be determined from this curve. Concentration maximum, which is already been shown, it is around 8 microgram per ml, whereas T max is coming around 3 hours. So all these things can be determined from this curve. This is a part of pharmacokinetics. In this curve, there is the drug is prescribed by intravenous route. This is the time versus drug concentration in plasma, and you see there is a straight line. Why there is a straight line? Why there is no distribution? Because the initial data being taken from 2 hours. So the rest of the data being extrapolated from 2 to this particular level, the level of 10. Which thing you cannot determine from the previous curve and from this curve? The apparent volume of distribution. Why? Because the dose of the drug is not given. If you know the dose, then you know the plasma concentration, then dose divided by the plasma concentration will give you the value of apparent volume of distribution. But just from this curve, you cannot determine apparent volume of distribution. Now, you just see initially the concentration of the drug is at the maximum level, that means at the level of around in between 8 and 10, that is around 9 microgram per ml, and the T half is around, it is between 12 minus 8, it is around 4 hours. How will you determine? Uh, you draw a line from 4 to this oblique line. It will cut at this point, and from there you draw a perpendicular line. It is cutting at the level of 8. Now, by the definition of T half, we know the time by which it declines by its half. So from 4 it becomes 2. That means it becomes half. So from 2, draw another horizontal line on this oblique line. It is cutting at a particular level, and from that point you draw another perpendicular line on the baseline or the x-axis. It is cutting at the level of 12. So 12 minus 8 will give you the T half of for this particular drug. So that is probably the way we are trying to determine the T half of this particular curve or this particular drug. So what are the things we can determine from this? The route of drug administration, which is obviously intravenous, the AUC, the T half, the Cmax, so and obviously the area under the curve. So all these things can be determined from this curve. So you have calculated T half from this particular curve. Now, once you see this curve is also showing the same route of drug administration, that is intravenous, but the initial value was taken from the very beginning, and hence the initial part was showing a little bit of sloping, and that phase is called alpha phase. So that is the difference between this curve and the previous curve. Otherwise, both of them are showing you the similar kind of thing. So what are the things you can determine from here? You can determine T half, you can determine area under the curve, you can determine C max. Here it is 32 microgram or around 31-32 microgram per ml. Obviously T max is 0 in case of these intravenous route of drug administration, and you can determine route of drug administration, you can determine bioavailability, and you can also determine area under the curve. This is the area under the curve for elimination, that is also known as elimination half-life or plasma half-life, and the whole part is called the biological half-life. So this is the repetition of the previous one. Again, I am repeating the same thing. This is the time versus plasma concentration curve of the drug, semi-logarithmic curve showing after administration initial concentration of the drug rapidly falls from maximum due to distribution, and after some time concentration falls is basically gradual due to metabolism and excretion. So this part is elimination. The route of administration is obviously intravenous because it is achieving the maximum level at the very beginning. So the route, the AUC, the T half, the C max, all can be determined from this curve. What is the apparent volume of distribution? It is dose divided by the plasma concentration. But the dose is not given, so it is difficult for us to determine apparent volume of distribution from this curve. If somebody will give us the dose of the drug, we can also determine volume of distribution. Calculate the T half. I have already explained in the previous curve. It is 4 hours. 12 minus 4, 12 minus 8 is equal to 4. So that is the T half of this curve. This is a part of pharmacodynamics. So whenever you are actually entering into the circulation, the drug, systemic circulation, the drug will start its action. The drug is absorbed when you are giving an eye drop, or when you are giving it via nasal spray, when you are giving a cream. These are all absorbed in the peripheral circulation. So, and all these routes of drug administration are basically topical route of drug administration. But when you are giving it by IV route, it is directly entering into the systemic circulation. So that is the basic difference. Now this curve will show you uh, a case of competitive antagonism, when you know that there is a receptor and there is a drug. When the initial curve, drug here, the drug is binding with the receptor, and you will see that it is reaching its maximum height. So at this dose, it is reaching its maximum height, which can be explained by three things. The first one is the dose or the threshold. Second one is the slope. Second one is definitely going to be the slope, and the third one is the maxima of the efficacy. And you will see there is a right-sided parallel shifting of the curve. It's a log dose response curve showing response of an agonist in absence and presence of an antagonist. Higher concentration of agonist can produce same maximal response here. So this is a case of competitive antagonism. The difference between competitive and non-competitive antagonism was been discussed. It has been discussed in the previous presentation, video presentation. But in this presentation, you will see that in spite of giving a particular drug, its value is decreasing. Even if you increase the dose of the drug, even the dose is being changed, gradually increasing the drug, but its level is gradually falling, and ultimately it will touch the baseline. So this is a case of non-competitive antagonism. So this is a log dose response curve showing response of an agonist in absence and presence of increasing concentration of an antagonist. Higher concentration of antagonist decreases maximal response achieved by agonist here. So this is a case of non-competitive antagonism, and there will be no right-sided parallel shifting of the curve. Examples are many. One is acetylcholine, succinylcholine. You can give examples of like adrenaline, phenoxybenzaimine. You can give examples like diazepam, bicuculline. So many examples you can give in case of non-competitive antagonism. But in spite of increasing the dose of the drug, you will not get the maximum efficacy. Go back to the previous one once more. In this case, the examples are acetylcholine, atropine, and you will see in the one of the next slide I will show you, by increasing the concentration of acetylcholine, you can regain back the same action. So the efficacy will be retained in spite of presence of an antagonist, and that is the reason why there is a right-sided parallel shifting of the curve, and this is an example of competitive antagonism. So I will show you with one experiment how competitive antagonism is being demonstrated in laboratory. This is a copy of chymographic tracing of guinea pig ileum preparation showing action of acetylcholine in absence and presence of atropine. Height of the curves denotes the force of contraction after each dose of acetylcholine. This is competitive antagonism, as same maximal response could be achieved using higher dose of acetylcholine. Here you see it is the guinea pig ileum where the acetylcholine is given, and this kind of curve is called graded dose response curve, which we will discuss in few of the later videos. So we are gradually, it is increasing the dose in geometric progression from 0.2 to 0.4, then 0.08, then 0.16, and the contraction is rising till this level, and this dose is called ceiling dose. Obviously our next dose should be given, and you will not get better response than this, and that is called the ceiling dose. That means it touches the roof. In spite of giving more dose, you will not get any more beneficial effect. Now we have given an antagonist like atropine, and it is given here, and then you have started giving acetylcholine once again, but the dose is at the previous dose, it is not going to work because all the receptors are blocked. The receptors are muscarinic receptors. Muscarinic receptors are true for acetylcholine. Now here you see you are increasing the dose of acetylcholine, and gradually it is, I mean, given in a much higher dose, 0.5, then it's 1. So at the level of 1 it is matching with the initial level. Then when you are giving 2, it is matching the second level. So when you are giving it at the level of almost 8, uh, almost, yes, 8 microgram, then it is matching the level of 0.016. That means it regains back its action in presence of atropine. And what does it mean? It is displacing atropine from its binding site, and uh, we are getting the same efficacy or maxima. When we are plotting these things, these values in the logarithmic table, in log curve, then we'll see something which already being depicted to you. I am again showing you what is being shown when this is being placed in the logarithmic table. So when you place it in the logarithmic table, you will see this curve. So this is example of competitive antagonism. The clinical one, the laboratory investigations been demonstrated previously with the help of acetylcholine atropine, and here I am showing you what you will observe when you place the values in the logarithmic table. So with this much I am concluding my presentation on both pharmacokinetics and a little bit of pharmacodynamics, which include pharmacological antagonism, and those are competitive and non-competitive type. Thank you so much for your kind attention.